Between Europe and Asia, economic dialogue, humanitarian missions, multi-vector operating and the search for compromises in the world arena. How else does Kazakhstan participate in the development of the modern world? For more details, watch the program Kazakhstan International Vectors. Today you will find out where are aviation security instructors being prepared in Kazakhstan, what does the acceptable risk level mean, and what airline is the safest today.
In 1783, a balloon designed by the Montgolfier brothers filled with hot air flew 8 kilometers. It is believed that this first well-known human flight laid the foundation of modern aviation. Today, 100,000 flights of civil aircraft are carried out daily worldwide. They transport about 10 million passengers a day. At the same time, in Asia, North America and Europe, airspace is the most loaded. Almost every person experiences a certain discomfort in the sky, and many people even suffer from aerophobia. However, world statistics claim that the aircraft is one of the safest means of transport. The probability of a plane crash is only 100,000%. In other words, for every 1 million flights carried out in the world, there is less than one incident happens. At the same time, experts say the reliability of flights depends not only on technical characteristics of the aircraft, a state, a carrier, a passenger. This is the perfect formula of close cooperation on which provision of aviation security in the world depends.
Aygul Tursunbayeva works at the International Airport of Almaty. A senior inspector of the search unit in the past, she has been training her colleagues in aviation security skills in this training center for 3 years already.
In March of 2007, an aviation training center was opened on the basis of GSC Almaty International Airport for training of aviation security specialists. From the total number of all employees in the sphere of aviation in Kazakhstan, in our airport 1/3 is currently working. First of all, we train aviation security specialists for units of inspection and security. We also train specialists with unaccompanied access to the airport's controlled area, as well as specialists from outside organizations.
Over the past 3 years, this center has trained more than 4,500 aviation security specialists. Now they are working in all airports of Kazakhstan. Today in the center, training sessions on screening passengers using a portable metal detector are going on.
Now I will show you correct operation order of the inspection process using a metal detector. Here is a passenger who passed through the metal detector frame, and we now, using a portable metal detector, I'll show you the scheme of operation.
All these actions are carried out in order to prevent the aircraft from the passage of all those prohibited items which could be used to commit an illegal act. Employees of the Almaty International Airport are training here every 2 years in order to improve their skills in ensuring the aviation security.
In order for our specialists to properly inspect passengers' baggage, hand luggage and cargo, of course, every 2 years they must pass this training in order to improve their skills in procedures of passenger screen, baggage screen and so on.
The main task of this training center is the qualitative training of specialists who will further apply all the acquired skills and knowledge in practice. An important role in this work is played by the process of interaction with foreign colleagues.
All specialists, all instructors are also trained in certified training centers based on ICAO standards. These are the Kyiv Training Center, the Moscow Training Center and others. And from time to time, while training in these centers, we share all those moments that occur in every city in any state. We share the information on what are the weak points, what kinds of successes had we had. All that enters into our communication.
The Aviation Training Center has the computerized class equipped with training software for operators of inspection. Aygul shares that the most difficult task for them is to decipher properly X-ray images. Now on this simulator it is possible to see how dangerous objects, such as improvised explosive devices or weapons, can look like.
Со стороны пассажиров,
On the
естественно,
behalf of passengers, naturally, we would like to see that the passenger being examined understands the importance of this procedure, that he or she helps security officers in that there would not be any terrorist attacks in the air. The well-being of each passenger also depends on his or her own behavior at the point of inspection.
поведение в пункте досмотра.
Every passenger, either being at the airport or on board of the aircraft, entrusts his or her life and safety to aviation personnel. Thus, the aviation security directly depends on each participant of the flight process, starting from the passenger, ending with the flight attendant.
Это люди,
These are people who entrust their lives to us. These are passengers who, when flying out from our airport, should be specifically confident, as the rest of the society, that all of them will reach safely the place of destination. They have passed through our eyes, our hands, our minds, even our intuition, as we often say. This is a huge number of people who are hoping for their safety.
людей.
The safety of flights in the world today is understood as the state of the air transport system in which the risk is brought to an acceptable level and is being controlled at this level. What does it mean? If earlier the safety of flights meant the transportation of passengers and cargo from one point to another without any damage or threat to life and safety, today a new concept has been introduced: an acceptable level of risk. An acceptable level of risk is a condition when, if any threat occurs, a hotbed of this threat is being found and quickly removed. This can be achieved by, first of all, the development and implementation of national aviation legislation. This would be the basis of the foundations for safety, so to say. Here I'm talking about the main aviation law. How will the aviation law be drawn up? This will depend on aviation security and the safety of flights of certain country. Since the beginning of this year in Kazakhstan, the economic regulation of the aviation industry has been transferred to the Civil Aviation Committee. In its development, the agency is guided by the British model.
The Civil Aviation Committee under the Ministry for Investment and Development of the Republic of Kazakhstan is fully responsible for aviation security. The agency deals with technical and economic regulation, tariff policy, management of state airports, licensing of air routes and ensuring the protection of passengers' rights.
Such a joint work of Kazakhstani and British civil aviation agencies is specified in the plan of the nation called 100 Specific Steps. The 68th paragraph of this document states the improvement of the efficiency of state regulation of air transportation. Thus, the aviation industry in the country will become self-sufficient and self-sustaining. We are currently working on the transition to many standards of the European Union and European control. To date, we have also launched an initiative which involves several republics: Kazakhstan, Russia, Belarus, Armenia and Kyrgyzstan. This initiative is about the bringing of a single body to regulate activities of civil aviation till 2018-2020. Here also the roadmap has been created and we continue to work upon it. This roadmap covers many aspects. For example, harmonization of national aviation regulations and aligning them with ICAO requirements. The document also provides for fair competition among air carriers. For this purpose, it is planned to create a unified aviation information base. There is an idea of creating a single base, a unified base of all aviation events, incidents, accidents, information on which will be collected in one place. This will help us to analyze and further develop a plan as well as measures to prevent accidents and incidents in the future. The basic principles of work of international aviation, such as, for example, international standards and recommended aviation practices, are established by the Chicago Convention.
The Convention on International Civil Aviation, also known as the Chicago Convention, established the basic principles for the operation of international aviation. In particular, rules for flights over the territories of member states, nationality of the aircraft, and facilitation of international flights, international standards and recommended practices.
Apart from that, the document has provided the establishment of the International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO. This specialized UN agency is called upon not only to establish international civil aviation standards, but also to coordinate the development of the industry as a whole and to improve its safety and effectiveness. For now, Kazakhstan has been a member of ICAO for 25 years. For the last 7 or 8 years, we have a strong direct cooperation with ICAO. I mean, from the moment when in 2009 they have found violations of international civil aviation practice. Actually, why back then we have been put on the blacklist? Because they have made 2 significant notices about ensuring the aviation security which are not allowed. And when they wrote us these comments, we started working on eliminating our mistakes. The first remark of ICAO concerned the training of aviation instructors, and the second, the alignment of bylaws, decrees, orders, and other documents relating to this industry. ICAO Bureau of Technical Cooperation inspectors helped their Kazakhstani colleagues to remove all mistakes, and Kazakhstan was able to confirm its level of effective implementation of international aviation security standards. If we take the level of acceptance, or rather the level of implementation of ICAO requirements, standards and recommendations in 2009, the level of our correspondence to the standards was approximately 47%. In 2014 it was already 68%, and today it equals to 76%. If talking about the world level here, it is 63%, and the average European level is 78%. So we are in a pretty good position, let's say. According to the rating, we are in a good place. These figures show that in our country there is a quite high level of ensuring the safety of flights. In addition to the work with international organizations in matters of aviation security and expanding the geography of flights, Kazakhstan cooperates with foreign colleagues. Also, in terms of concluding agreements and signing memorandums, we work with aviation authorities of China, aviation authorities of many countries of the Middle East, as well as the whole Western Europe. I mean all destinations of our flights. Well, I think I won't reveal a great secret if I say that soon we will start working with an aviation authority, AFA. It's in America, North America. With this country we will soon be working closely, and I think geography of our flights will expand. There are also organizations in the world which issue different ratings of airlines. While some of them evaluate security, others pay more attention to passenger service and their comfort. Such data can be useful for passengers when choosing a carrier. And according to this data, to date the most secure is the Hong Kong airline Gateway Pacific, which for 30 years of its operation hasn't had a single aviation accident. The Dutch company KLM too is considered one of the safest. Etihad and the Emirates, airlines of the Arab Emirates, are also among of the safest today. Experts say that the achievement of a high level of safety for these companies became possible due to strict compliance with international safety standards and relevant government programs.
The international air portal AirlineRatings.com last year published the annual rating of the safest airlines in the world. Australian Qantas Airlines go on the first place. It is followed by American carriers, American Airlines on the second place, and Alaska Airlines on the third place. Arab Etihad Airways, which are so popular worldwide, took the 8th place, and Dutch KLM the 13th.
In that rating, a total of 449 airlines were considered. The evaluation criteria included the results of companies' inspections by aviation departments and associations, the number and nature of incidents, and the quality of work of aviation personnel. And if speaking about security, a company will think that they have security in the background, regularity and profitability for a company will be at the first place. Then in the future, in this company, there necessarily will be an aviation accident. Again, the airline will go bankrupt and the airline's rating will drop, and the continued existence of that company will be under a question. Therefore, this compliance with this balance ensures a good, stable and long-lasting operation of this airline. In Kazakhstan, safety of passengers during the flight is also regulated by the Transport Police. Thus, the Department of Internal Affairs on Transport of the Republic of Kazakhstan controls 18 airports, including international ones in Astana and Almaty. There, the patrol detachments, operatives, migration police and others are working on ensuring the aviation security. A sinological service is also working in order to ensure security during patrolling. Search and hunting dogs are involved, which are trained to identify both explosives and narcotic drugs. Employees of the Migration Police are working to identify violators of migration legislation. By the way, not only violations of migration legislation. There are people who come to our country from abroad, for example, on the eve of Expo. We expect many guests in Astana, for example, and for this reason our police officers are ready to accept, to tell, to show what migration laws we have and how people can act. What, where, what law do we have, what they should do, some visa regime details, and so on. The President of Kazakhstan declared zero tolerance of any offenses. Law enforcement officials say that security is a matter for every citizen, and he or she, him or herself, must be intolerant of the offender. Every passenger affects the overall security. Once we've had a case when during the flight a Turkish citizen went in the toilet on the board of a plane and started smoking. This was reported to correspondent units. Upon his arrival, he was removed and we were forced to bring him to administrative responsibility. And citizens, for example, flying in the same airplane, could have told him not to smoke because this was a violation of a rule and sort of neglecting of others' right for security during the flight. IGIL notes that the demand for training aviation security specialists is growing annually. At the same time, the readiness to improve such skills is expressed not only by aviation workers. Recently, Almaty's city's metro employees showed the interest towards such trainings. In this regard, here in the Aviation Training Center, it is planned to expand lecture classes and purchase the latest equipment.
The further plans of our training center include the preparation of all aviation security specialists. It also includes the training of the instructors themselves. We need to improve our knowledge, improve our skills, so that we can share them further with all employees who are involved in ensuring complete safety of the transport infrastructure. In general, this work will help to always keep the sky above Kazakhstan in safety.
In the total volume of transport industry of Kazakhstan, air transportation services account for 4%. Experts say that for such a vast territory and such a big number of passengers, this is not enough. Therefore, the immediate plans of the state include the renewal and expansion of the aircraft fleet. Well, if we look at the trend, the constant growth is coming. In 2016 we had 6 million and every year this number increases. If after gaining the independence during the period from 1992 to almost 2000, 1999, the volume of traffic has been falling constantly, then now we can see the growth again. And this year, I think, we will be at the level of the years 1991-1990, when we had quite a high level of air transportation. Almaty City International Airport serves about 5 million passengers a year, and all these 5 million passengers need to understand that the work of security officers in some way depends on the passengers themselves. Therefore, every person preparing for a flight should know what can be carried in his or her suitcase and what cannot. After all, the flight safety depends on every passenger.
In this regard, every Kazakhstani going on a flight must understand and accept the work of security officers and clearly comply with all requirements for the inspection. And he or she should be sympathetic and respectful of employees who ensure his or her safety in the.
For every citizen of Kazakhstan, ensuring safety of flights must be the first thing. When buying a ticket, this person concludes a contract with the airline, and from that moment he or she becomes responsible. Firstly, on the back of the ticket, all the rules are well pointed. The passenger does not need to know much, he or she must comply with the rules that are written in the ticket, which are demanded by the maintenance personnel, such as flight attendants, and these requirements must be strictly observed. Being responsible for ensuring the safety of its own citizens and citizens of other countries within the framework of air transportation carried out on its territory. This obligation was assumed by Kazakhstan, becoming a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council. In addition, until 2020, the Republic intends to achieve indicators of the implementation of ICAO standards in excess of 87% of compliance to the organization standards and enter into top 30 of the world's strongest aviation administrations.